No maiki toi tu te haka. Okay. I don't know if you remember about 6 months ago we all went for a little hikoi. And then a few of us ended up here. But in that week there was a haka that happened in here. And I'll never forget it. It was probably one of the biggest haka that has ever gone down in history. It was found all around Aotearoa in the world. And after that, we went into the tari and there was no one celebrating. Kei te tani, I already had a little smirk, but kei te ka pai, and I think about that history, and I think about our haka, and I think about Te Paraha. In that time, he was in a pretty bad place. Okay? People were coming for him, he thought he was dead. Engari kei te ora tonu e, ka ora, ka ora. Ka pai? And I think about that moment, and I think about what he would think about our moment right now. I wonder what he would do in that situation. Some of us could probably guess. Some of us would probably, engari ko tēnei te ao huri huri ne. He came here a long time ago, our tūpuna. And I'm proud to be Ngāti Tōrangatira, and I'm proud of that haka. This house here is not. They're not proud of our culture. They'll use it, but they're not proud of it. No reira tērā te taki ka hara mai, te katoa, ki te manaaki i ngā tangata e roto. Ka pai. Now we've got, I want to do this as a short day today. Don't want it to be a long time. Ka pai. We've got a few speakers that are going to come up here and speak. Okay, we've got, first of all, Mr. Hiko himself, Eru Kapakingi, honai te Pāti Māori. We've got one of the heartiest Māori wahine lawyers in Aotearoa, honai te Pāti Māori. We've got our whanaunga, Cassie Arndorp, my action station, o mai te Pāti. And we've got Ripika Lascelles from our union here to have a kōrero. Ho mai te Pāti Māori. Just make sure, whānau, when our Māori members come out here, that haka is 10 times what happened there. Ka pai? I almost fainted in the haka in here. Okay? We don't want that to happen. Ka pai, but go hard. Okay? Me ho mai, that's me, I'm done. Ere, hara mai, kia ora. Kia ora.
E taku ana tira, e kara, te huaki nei, ai tēnei huihuinga, te toa tā maua o tēnei takiwā, te toa tā maua, ai te haka tapu, tō koutou tupuna, tēnei te kaupapa, te rauhi nei, te pāwhanau nei ki runga, ki o whanaunga, ki o hoa, anei ko tai mai ki runga ki tēnei papa e taku rangatira. Tēnei, ka mihi, tēnei, te ngākau, ka oha, ki a koe, ki a koutou, e chaki nei, tēnei, whenua taurikura, tēnei ka mihi, tēnei ka mihi. My beautiful sovereign people, tēnā koutou, tēnā rā koutou katoa. I woke up this morning feeling pretty sovereign, and it looks like you all did too. I te mea ko tai mai ki te pupuri te mana o tēnei mea o te haka. And it's beautiful to see you all. I just want to get a bit of a gauge of the wairua, the ihi, the wehi amongst us. Koreira, my beautiful sovereign people, repeat after me. Toi tū te haka. 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 Toi tū te reo. Toi tū te reo. Toi tū ngā tikanga. Toi tū ngā tikanga. Toi tū te iwi Māori. Toi tū te iwi Māori. Toi tū Ngāti Toa. Toi tū Ngāti ka pai. Ka pai, he ronga nei te hirangaranga. Ai ata tupu ana I wai mai a tātou. Here's another one. Ka haka tonu tātou. Ka tū tonu tātou. Ka ora tonu tātou. Ka haka tonu tātou. Ka tū tonu tātou. Ka ora tonu tātou. Ka pai. You know, I was thinking on my way here, there's a lot of MPs in their whare. They wish they could haka like us. They wish they could do what we're doing. They wish they could tukahi on the beats. They wish they could stay in time and sing in tune. Pono, he aloha nahu. He aloha nahu. They wish they had something as powerful as we do, and that is the haka. It is our culture, it is our power, it is our identity wrapped up in one. And you know what? Actions and kupu, yes, they are a part of haka. But haka is much more than that. Haka is a way of life. Just us standing here today, this is a form of haka. Because haka is what? Haka is resistance. Haka is what? Haka is power. Haka is what? Haka is our mana. And that's the core reason why this whare and many other people that sit inside it feel scared. They feel threatened by our mana. Because when we haka, we're not just saying words and we're not just doing actions, but we are standing in our power, we are standing in our mana. And such is the power of our haka. This whole whenua, ka hururu. We can make this whenua shake and we can make this whare crumble if we let the power of our haka out. Ngā haka o te iara, te tuku I ngā tamariki ki te kohanga ki te kura, he momo haka tēnā. Te tuku, writing submissions, te tuku I your submissions, he momo haka wena. Te tai mai ki ngā kaupapa nei, anei, he momo haka wene. And though this house, as my tuakana Hori said, can never be proud of how we express ourselves and how we stand in our power, I am proud of you and I'm proud of us. And I'm proud of all of the MPs who slog day in, day out, to slow down these attacks that are happening to us. The MPs that have been punished, karoha, and also to acknowledge the Te Pāti Māori MPs. Koutou mahi ana I ngā mahi nui, tēnā koutou. So in your haka as well in that whare in your own way. We see you and we are proud of you. Nō reira e ngā whanaunga. A tēnei ka mihi ki a tātou ko tai mai. A ki te ata, tautoko I tēnei kaupapa. Because that's right, our haka is a source of fear for this whare. Even though apparently when the All Blacks do it, it's celebrated. And it's a good thing. And when they use our reo and our core whai patterns on their companies as a form of marketing, that's when it's cool to be Māori. And that's when it's celebrated to be Māori. But when we haka in the name of liberation, we are told to be quiet and we are told to sit down. E kore, e noho, e kore, e mū. Ka haka tonu tātou. Ka tū tonu tātou. Ka ora tonu tātou. I'm proud of all of you for making this stand today. And even though this whare does not see us for who we are, e pai ana. E pai ana because the movement is much bigger than this whare. It's much bigger than the rules inside that whare. And even though they can enforce their rules in there and tell our whanaunga not to haka, I dare them to come into our homes and tell us not to haka. I dare them to come out here and tell us not to haka. I dare them to come into our kura, to our kohanga, to our marae and tell us not to haka. There's nothing that will stop us from standing in our power and from being our beautiful Māori selves. Ka mutu koutou, ngā tangata tiriti kua tai mai tēnā koutou. I also want to acknowledge you all for seeing the power and the magic of the haka and not being threatened by it, but actually seeing its beauty and the power that haka, tikanga Māori, te ao Māori, and healing all of the problems that most people suffer on this whenua, except for the rich, except for the wealthy. Te iwi Māori, tikanga Māori, is not just good for te iwi Māori, it's good for everyone. The haka is good for everyone. Nō reira, toi tū te haka.
Ake, ake, ake.
Toi tū te haka.
Ake, ake, ake.
Ka haka tonu tātou.
Ake, ake, ake.
Ka tū tonu tātou.
Ake, ake, ake.
Ka ora tonu tātou.
Ake, ake, ake.
Tūtuna maka maua kia tīna.
Tīna.
Hooray!
Ai,
Nā koutou.
Check, check, check. 1, 2, 3. Ki mai rā, ka ke mai rā, ho mai te wai ora kia hau e tū te huana te mai a te kui te pō. O pō, wai raka i raru wai papa ki tūna ngā tai ki te rei ngā ka pō, kāo, kāea, kāua tea. Ki te tūaki au ki te kōrero, i raro i te mana o tōku tīpuna, a wairaka, mana te ki kia whakatāne au i ahau. Ko tēnei te maramara kōhatu no ki tawaki maunga, i rere iho ai, i ngā ia o te rangi tāiki, tai atu ki te moana nui ātou. Anei, he uri o ngā toroirangi, e mihi kaua tuana kia koutou katoa, e hui mai nei i tēnei rangi whakahirahira. Hi guys, how's it going? So, they've asked me to come here to speak to you all about the Regulatory Standards Bill, but before I do that, I would like to address what's happening in this House. Because as some of you may know, I have the great honour and privilege of representing our Te Pāti Māori MPs. And what I can say about the process that took place in terms of the Privileges Committee and what we tried to do with that committee was, in my experience in the 20 years that I have been a lawyer, one of the worst processes that I have ever experienced as a lawyer. And the reason why I agreed to come here and to represent our Te Pāti Māori MPs was because they stood up for all of us. Every single one of us, they took the heat for us. And when this government tried to attack Te Tiriti, they stood in that house and they hakaed for us. So for me, the least that I could do was to use my voice, my reo, and do whatever I could to try and defend them and try and get an outcome from this committee that was fair. But that was never going to happen because this committee did not want to follow its own rules. It did not want to hear about our tikanga, even though our tikanga has been recognised by the Supreme Court just down the road there as being the first law of this land. They didn't want to hear that. They didn't want to hear from me. They didn't want to hear from Chris Finlayson, who also gave his time generously to defend our Te Pāti Māori MPs. Former chair of the Privileges Committee for 6 years. No, we don't want to hear from you. We definitely don't want to hear from you too. And we all know why. Because if we had the opportunity to speak for our MPs, and if we had the opportunity to provide the evidence that we wanted to give about our tikanga, about this haka, about what it means and about what it represents, they knew that Aotearoa would have been like, ooh, okay, well maybe they shouldn't be punished. So instead they did what this house always does, change the rules to suit themselves. Change the rules so that it only applies to everybody else, but so for me, when I hear Judith Collins on the radio coming out and saying, well, they broke the rules, they've got to accept the punishment. Whose rules? And since when do those rules not include tikanga? Because that is the law of this land. And we need to keep reminding them that this is our whenua. And our law applies on our whenua. So in terms of how we got to where we are, this coalition government is going to keep doing what it's doing. They're going to keep rolling, they're going to keep trying to pass all of these laws, they're going to keep trying to squash our mana. But the more that they try and silence us, the louder we have to get. Ka pai? Because the one thing that they know is that we are the warrior people. They know that if they can squash us, all of our brothers and sisters around the world, all of our iwi take, they watch us. We inspire them. There's a reason the haka went viral all over the world, because you don't even have to understand our reo to feel it. And they can feel us. E te whānau, they are waiting for us. We have to do this. We don't have a choice. It has to start here in Aotearoa. And we cannot allow this whare mere with a whole lot of buzzing bees around it at the moment, I bet you. We cannot allow this whare to break us down. And we won't. Because they can try all they like to stop us. They can try and pull every trick in the book. But I became a lawyer because the court said, "Ma te ture anō te ture e anki." And we will fight them with their own weapons. We will use the taiaha of our reo. And we will use our haka. They are scared of those weapons. And we will use all of them against them. Now I am supposed to talk about the regulatory standards bill, so I will very quickly. The one thing that I want to say to you all about the regulatory standards bill, it's a crap title way. Half the people can't even remember it. But, and the whānau at Marae will also then who posted this, it's the Treaty Principles Bill 2.0. At the whānau, that's all you need to know. David Seymour and his ACT Party mates, they just dressed it up, put a new portai on it, and then away they go. And they were hoping that we would be too dumb, too busy, too Māori to know what they were doing. But unlucky for David, we don't sleep on our watch. We stay ready. And all of you here today, I want you to go home tonight to your whānau and tell them that the Regulatory Standards Bill is the Treaty Principles Bill 2.0. And we've got to get ready. It's coming very soon, and we've got to flood this whare with as many submissions as we possibly can. More than the Treaty Principles Bill. I want to see 1 million submissions against this piece of rubbish legislation that is trying to take away our rights under the CDC. This is personal for me. This is an attack on my son's future. And you do not threaten my son. Nobody in this whare threatens my son. So I want you all to go home tonight. That's your homework. It's your homework. Follow me. I'm the noisy lawyer on Instagram, TikTok, whatever you want to follow me on. But stay tuned, because we all have to do this. And I do want to mihi to our Green Party whānau today. I had a kōrero with them today about our regulatory standards bill. They're going to cope with everything that we are trying to do. And this is what we need to do. We all need to work together. Ko tahitanga, ne? Ngā kupu o kini tū heitu. Ne? Be Māori. All day, every day, in every place. And if te whānau, I know we're all waiting for our Te Pāti Māori MPs to appear. I just want to leave you with this. We do have a response to all of this rubbish that's going on, and you will hear about it very soon. But I just want you all to know this. We have your backs, and we all need to have each other's backs, ne? Okay? Ngā mihi nui. Tēnā koutou.
Kia ora. Now just asking Ripika to come up to speak to us. Ko reira, humai te patipati koutou.
A tēnei rā te tukupihi atu rā kia koutou katoi tēnei a kia hiko. Koutou ko whai wahi atu, koutou ko pupumahi te harama. E nā hapa te aha, kai kunei rā koutou e kanohi ko tō koutou iwi. Tēnei rā te tukupihi, a tēnei rā te tukupihi atu rā kia koutou katoa e tiwi. Koutou katoa, e whai haere nā kaupapa e pupuake, I runa I tēnei whare kai muri rā ia haunei. Koutou katoa, e whai wahi atu ai, e tuku I o kōrero I tō reo, ki te whare e kaimuri nei a hau nei. Nā mihi rā kia koutou katoa, nā mihi rā kia koutou nā kai kōrero, kua kōrero hia nei I mora I aha. Ka tēnei rā te tū, a tētahi o waku rōpu, te riuno I tēnei ahi ahi, te kōrero, o nā mahi whakahe a tēnei kawaratanga kaimuri rā ia tātou. Kai moi a koutou kai yuri aha I tēnei rā. Nā mahi ka puta mai I tēnei whare mere nei. E tāmi nei a tata. Kua roke tēnei mahi a whakahari ia. Kua roke tata e tū mai rā. I tēnei whikua nei. Koto tata heo te take. Koto tata I whenua te take. Tēnei nā te whia te rā kia koutou katoa tēnei ahi. He kaupapa hira hira tātou tēnei ahi. I'm here to tell you about some of the things that this government, this coalition government has done, particularly to women. To us particularly, wahine mā. Māori mā, haina mana mā, nā a tātou nā iwi o nā mautene. Koe nei tā koe haro mai nei te kōrero kia koutou. I'm here to talk about ahakoa. Let me speak in English so you can understand me. Koutou o ruapa ki ka aroha mai kai te kōrero whāhea hea nei. Kia pai ai te mene nā te marama ki ta kurea. I'm here to tell you about some of the punitive things that this government has done. And thinking that we're going to roll over and do nothing about it. Like Talia said, we ain't here to do nothing about it. So, one of the things that this government has done, you would have known they scrapped Te Aho Te Reo earlier, or last year. What the aha te taka? I don't know, but they scrapped it. One of the other things that they're doing is they're now attacking teachers in a very, very open and blatant way. And the one that's openly blatant is they've just taken pay equity off the table. Pay equity off the table. That's a particular kick in the teeth for all of us wahine Māori, wahine katoa, whose gender pay gap has has been about 8% for a long, long time. 8.2%, I think it is. I mean, I guess where Māori women, where many Māori work in the health and education, social services, which are all female-dominated professions. But I'm really proud today to talk about, or to just to tell you about, at least we had 7 claims on the table before it all got scrapped, or 7 claims, pay equity claims that were completed before this government decided to take it off the table. You know, when they're taking it off the table, you would have heard Luxton talk about, we're not taking money from women's pay packets. No, but they've changed the rules. They've changed the rules. They've made it harder for women to take it. So it used to be, you had to claim that you had at least 60% of women in the workforce in your particular industry. Well, they've shifted that goalpost. They've shifted it to a bit more. They've shifted it to 70%. But then, when you have to take out a claim and compare it with another workforce, it has to be in your own sector. I'm an educator. I've been a teacher now for just over 40 years. So pay equity in our particular sector for a male-dominated job in our sector is probably caretakers. Male-dominated professions, they've moved the goalpost for us. Christopher Luxton's government has decided to raise that bar, 70% of female-dominated take a case, which automatically eliminates 31,000 secondary school teachers. Christopher Luxton's government decided that employers at ECE who are part of a multi-employer claim, no more. Employers will now walk away. For any reason, for no reason. So that wipes out 3,000 ECE claims. And Christopher Luxton's government decided that you can only compare women with males in your particular, like I said, in your particular profession or your particular sector. But like all of you here today, women across this country are not taking this lying down. Since the pay equity issue came up and they decided to take it off the table, well, in its last form, we've seen a whole host of action like this right around the country, where women who hold up 50% of the sky, that's us, 50% almost of the population are women, have decided to make their own protests around the country. And they are flooded with Facebook posts about what women are going to do. I tell you, there's a lot of angry women out there about what this government does. So please, 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 support. We're here to support our people. These industries are predominantly Māori women. We're here to support both. As Edu said, toi tū te haka, toi tū te haka, toi tū te whenua, toi tū te reo, toi tū tātou wāhinema. Kia ora wātu.
Kia ora te whānau. Te mea tōtahi, tēnā koutou, i ngā mana whenua tēnei rohi, tēnā koutou, i ngā taranaki whānau ni te Aotearoa. I tō rangatiratanga, ia rā, ia tau. He mihi mahana ki te kahu o te raupara hoki. Kia ora. No Ngāti Raukawa, no Ngāti Tūwhare tō hoki au, ko te Tūmaki o Action Station. I came here today not just to see all of your incredible, beautiful, cold faces on this Wellington day, but because not too long ago, I think many of us were here once before. Tanya rightly talks about the Treaty Principles Bill as being the other half to this bill that's about to come up, right? And in that moment, in the unfolding moments, we all saw so clearly what was happening. The wall has been truly uncovered from our eyes, and we know because we've been here many times before. If you're going to fuck with the people, it's Māori who know first. We will You cannot fool us. We know what is coming. We know what is here. And in that moment, when over 300,000 of us gathered together to say no to the Treaty Principles Bill, we showed our true power. We showed what we are capable of. And all of you did it, and all of our country did it. We went so hard, we broke the internet, people. That's what we did. And when the whanaunga and Te Pāti Māori and across the board in the opposition stood to Haka on that day in this house, they haka on behalf of us. They were channeling that rage from the public, from all of us. They channeled that and they took it to that whare. So to me, it doesn't matter what political party you come from. If you stood to Haka, you did it on behalf of all. Absolutely. I've been blessed to meet people from other parts of the world who have been facing the same kind of narakiatanga that's happening in this place as they are in their countries. I don't need to tell you about Trump. I don't need to tell you about the other countries that are facing similar threats right now. It is all the same connected threat. And the thing that they're looking out for is to get rid of any barriers, any laws in place that stop the unfettered, constant drive towards profit at the behest of Papatūānuku, at the behest of people, so that we all have to keep fighting against the same connected force. But when our whānau did that haka in that house, we collectively sent a message, not just to this house, but to any Ngānakia house in the world. You won't mess with these natives. Not today, not ever. Not ever. They have messed the wrong natives and the wrong tangata tiriti too, right? For sure we'll get with us. The wool is pulled from our eyes. We are seeing things exactly as they are, and that means that we know that whatever this government does, it's not going to be tika, it's not going to be puno. And so I'm here to say that the only answer at this time is this government needs to come out. They need to go down. They've shown us who they are, and we won't stand for it. We won't stand for it. It might not be today, whānau, but they will crumble. They will crumble because they may hold the pen, they may think they have the power, but they do not have the people. And we know what happens when you don't have the people. We see it all the time. These things crumble. And so I guess what I'd like to share with you all today is that as that place is going to crumble, as those people, those Ngānakia people are going to crumble, the task is on us to kia tauti Māori, to stay calm in the face of all of this violence, this political violence. We know who we are. We know where we come from. We've come so far. We will not go back into that place. So kia tauti Māori, be strong in who we all are. And to stick together. As Whairepika said before, we're in an interesting moment, right, because we're not the only ones on the line. Yes, we are facing a constitutional attack that is beyond what we have seen in decades. But they're attacking everyone else too. Everyone who's not their billionaire mates, right? Now is the time to be the bigger us. Let's stand together. Let's
Come state aqui. Yeah, we're good.
Hello, tātou. Kia hoki ngā mahara. When we think back to the beginning of the hikoi, this hikoi that was built on the foundation that our tupuna laid down, we started up in Te Pāti. And at that hui, this fella here turned up. And at different points along the hikoi, these fellas here, they turned up. They walked alongside us. They walked beside us. And they carried the kaupapa out there, but they also carried the kaupapa in here. Ko reira tēnei te tū, te mihi ki a koutou. E kara mai, e whaia mā, e hana, e te tuahine, tēnei te mihi ki a koutou. Koutou e kawe nei te kaupapa, I roto I tēnei whare, kia nei te poko kōhua. I want to grab one example, and it's our tuahine hana. When we think back to Wāhi Pā, ka hara te kaupapa, ka whakarite te tira karere. Hana was one of the runners that carried the Māori as we moved through the country, and she ran from Wāhi Pā all the way into Kirikiriroa. When she arrived, we had our tens of thousands of people gathered, ka tū, te tuahine nei ki te kōrero. Mihi ana ki tō kōrero e hana. We're tired of the fight. All of us could be doing something better with our time than fighting these fellas. Engari ko tāna I whāriki mui a tātou, kia ora tonu tātou.
Ake, ake, ake!
Kia ora tonu tātou.
Ake, ake, ake!
And do you know what happened straight after that? She got on an aeroplane, flew down here, and that day, kawana, that was that day. She didn't just wake up
chilling out for the morning, go and have a nice breakfast and then turn up and dust it up in Parliament. She was walking the talk alongside us. She was walking the talk with all of us. Reira tēnei te mihi kia koutou. Koutou katoa. E whawhai ana i te whawhai roto i te whare. Ana ko tātou kei tō tuara. Koutou rātou. Koutou katoa e tuana i roto i tēnei whare ko tātou kei tō tuara. Reira tēnei te mihi. E rere nei ki tēnā ki tēnā o koutou. Anei o iwi. Anei te iti o te rahi o iwi. Ironic that we're back here again, eh? It's ironic. Oh no, this is just another whawhai. This is not the end. But one whakaroa I want to lay down in front of all of us is that this hikoi was this generation's training ground. The generations before us had their training grounds. And now we as a hikoi, we as a people, we know how to organise. We know how to mobilise. We know how to manaki people wherever they are. We know how to write submissions. Hands up who knew how to write a submission before. Not me. But 270,000 of us flexed that muscle and now we know. One thing I want to say about this sentence that they've dished out to our mates is they're trying to instill fear. They're trying to instill fear in us. They're trying to say, sit down, Marys, be quiet. You can't have your voice in here. Will we be quiet? No! When we lose our fear, they lose their power. When we lose our fear, they lose their power. When we lose our fear, they lose their power. Wihi kore nei, mana kore nā. Reira tēnei te mihi, ki tēnā o koutou. Me te tuku i te rākau kōrero, ki tētahi o koutou. Tēnā tātou i te whānau.
A tuatahi, nā mihi ke a koutou kua tai mai ki te tautoko o kaupapa. Te kaupapa o te mana mo te haki. First of all, I want to tell you any tears that we shed today aren't for this place. They're actually for you and our humility that you can take time out to be here to manaki the kaupapa and to manaki us. And I know what it takes for all of you, our tui tūwhānau. I know the sacrifices those of us are representing us legally. And I know that what we're dealing with here is a web that is so paru. They were wrong. I did not say sit down, I said you are kino. And this finger here, it came from many aunties that have said the same. I don't need to look like a gun. I don't need to sit there and pretend to pinch or pull some pistol. Eki. That is this place deflecting its voice and its whakaro of violence to us. This system is so paru. So when you come here, all we see from out the window is like sun rays of hope. Sun rays reminding us why we take what we're taking just at the moment. We were born of civil disobedience. And I don't know how many from here are from the Rauka, but in Taranaki, we take pride in our civil disobedience. I want to also make sure that we hear what is coming out of this place. They didn't want to suspend us. They were actually looking at how to imprison us. How threatening are your voices? How intimidating are your voices? How intimidating are your actions? And we know if that is how the government perceives us, Imagine the power of our unity in taking out the Regulatory Standards Bill and taking out and dismantling this government, because that is what you have the power to do. You know why they did what they did today? You know why they locked upstairs? Because they are intimidated, not by me. They're intimidated by what we represent, by what we stand for, what we have our nannies and our koros and our mokopuna raised to be. So I take this moment to reset. I hope that you're all experts on Regulatory Standards Bill. I'm going to say it 6 times, Regulatory Standards Bill, because we've had a warm-up. We've had a dress rehearsal. There is nothing that they've thrown at us that we can't dismantle, and I promise to you, when you get us in and we take them out, the first things we will do is repeal every paru kino thing they've put. We promise you. We won't sit on the fence and talk like, mainstream. We are the only unapologetic, Indigenous, kaupapa-driven, tikanga-led party in Aotearoa. Until you all catch what I'm saying. Only you have the power to take us out, and only you have the power to put us in. Only we have the ability to take this paru out. So I'm going to leave it there and pass it on, but I want to thank you. We never knew what games they were going to play, but you know you're a threat when they start playing like stupid chess. And we're okay. We're not tired from this. We're emotional for you. We're emotional because, as Naori said, they don't love us. But we will love their mokopuna. We will bring their mokopuna into Aotearoa home. We will make sure they're warm. We will make sure they're fed. I'm completely pinching Naori's lines. But we will never ever treat theirs like they treat ours. Kia ora whanau, I love you all. Oh, by the way, no TV mining. No TV mining.
O te iwi Māori e guru nei. Ko te aroa e guru nei. Kia ora tata. There is a mix of emotions here today. This is a psychological war we're in at the moment. They're here just dangling us and waiting for us to get tired. They are afraid that the fear in every single one of us that they have for so long put into us is gone. What we saw today makes me feel like I'm on remand. And many of us know somebody who's on remand, waiting for sentencing. And they make you believe that they've done this to ensure that we had a voice in the budget. We always had a voice in the budget. Just because 3 of us were gone, there were still 3 that were still here. We don't need their sympathy. And we don't need them to prolong the psychological warfare that they are prepared for us to endure. Because we've been in this psychological warfare for over 180 years. And we will be here for another 180 years in this psychological warfare. So I want to be to you all. Do not let this dampen who we are and what we stand for. This should just fire the belly. And there's one thing, when I talk about fire and my fingers up in the air, I'm more scared of in regards to a gun as an auntie's finger on the malam. And the sentiments that can be shared, e kira.
that you continuously determine that we're violent, that we're disruptive, that we're radical, that we're separatist. We are the only party that is committed to leaving no one behind. Our tipuna already left that footprint for us, that blueprint. The Te Waitangi was ensuring nobody got left behind. And to our tangata treaty out there, the treaty was also a promise to you. And you do not stand behind us when we're talking about treaty rights, but that you stand beside us and ensure the mana of Te Waitangi protects us all. There is a war on Māori. There is a war on Te Tiriti. There is a war on women. There is a war on our rainbow communities. There is a war on our climate. And there is a war on all of us in our wake. Because the government is asleep. This is a psychological war we're in. We must all stand together. And I want to be to all the flags here. I see all the unions represented. Slide them, let me see. But here's the problem. Other parties in here, they want your vote, but they don't want your voice. Support the people who are not afraid to be your voice, authentic. We will not be muzzled by their rules, because we stand for what is right. And starting to close the gaps between those who have and those who have not. And many of us are struggling to put bloody kai on the table. Yes, we've been voted into this place. We come from kumara growing, tight head propping, diving into your undies community. And when we're finished in here, we go back to those communities. We're not here for the money. We're not here for the accolades. We're here to be a voice for you. So stand with us. What is the call to action? We turn punishment into power. Enroll. Vote. Submit. Submissions. Don't bloody submit. You know how to do submissions now? Put those submissions in. The Regulatory Standards Bill is the most dangerous bill you will ever see come through this house. The mundane language they use in it. It is about the Treaty Principles Bill, was about changing the principles of the Te Waitangi and those articles. The Regulatory Standards Bill is about eliminating it altogether. Remember, the Te Waitangi protects everyone here in Aotearoa from international and corporate exploitation. The privatisation of our country. You worked hard for that. They're ready to sell it all off. The Regulatory Standard Bill removes you, it removes me, it removes the Te Waitangi from all of that. So let this day be our preparation for that particular war. Who's with us? I love you all. I love you all. We will continue to fight. Suspensions are coming. Don't worry. They've just suspended the suspension. They can suspend our bodies, but they can never suspend our movement. Ka whawhai tonu mātou! Ka whawhai tonu mātou! Ora tonu tātou! Ora tonu tātou!
And again. Ora tonu mātou! Ora tonu tātou! Ngāri te ki tō mātou kuini i tariki wei wai I'm actually a really quiet person by nature, even though the perception's not out there in the world. Tuatahi. These are my grandparents. I'm just one of the messenger sticks on the house. That's right. We are just the messenger sticks of the 100,000 people who marched, the 300,000 signatures, the 90% submission, opposition in the submission process. I'm just and I am so humble. And I katua hua hauka, it was unruly, it was dishonourable, and it was disorderly to bring in a bill like the Treaty Principles. The problem is not our response to the problem. Let's not gaslight the actual Parliament has. It's the system itself. Well, I did a little something today. I did a little something today. Well, this house wanna be Matatini judges. I decided to create a bill. Members of Parliament's duty to uphold Te Tiriti o Waitangi legislation. The problem here is that there is no obligation and no responsibility for MPs in the House to uphold Te Tiriti o Waitangi. That is the problem. It is not our haka, it's not our wiri. Not our kākere, it's not the shoes we wear. That is the clear institutional problem here. And this is how we will address it. So that we don't have to do the thousands of submissions and have to do the regulatory standards bill, the treaty principles bill, the 28 laws that are removed from Te Tiriti responsibilities. That is the ongoing effect. This is not a country problem. This is an in-house problem. We do not see this represented across the country. This is just for the people in there to clean up their... This is an in-house problem. Tēnei pire, kasi here, ki te tiriti o Waitangi. How is it that this house was built off Te Tiriti o Waitangi, yet it's left outside the doors of the debating chamber? That is the problem here. That is why we are always systemically pushed back at the... We are too loud that we are literally rattling the foundations of this house. We've been kicked out of the gallery. We've been kicked out of Parliament. We've been kicked out. There's no more legal, there's no more places to sit down. We're literally that loud, and it's echoed across every single nation in the world. That is the power of your voice, not my voice, your voice is today. So this is what we do. This is how we need to move forward as a country. It's not left or right. This is the foundation of us moving together so that another generation doesn't have to be locked outside of these doors. So that another generation doesn't have to be silenced. So that we can focus on bigger issues like equal pay for women, like the fact that butter's gone up to $10 banning second mining, GST off cost. These are all the members' bills that we have created in our party. There's only 6 of us, but hey, we are making sure that this is not just for Māori, this is for everyone. This is for everyone. And we're having to be the opposers and the proposers at the same time. Thank you for showing up for us. We're waiting on message for us. Engari ki te ropi tuetu, koutou katoa te mana whenua, ngā kairi whata e toku nei tēnei karere. Ngā reanga katoa, pākea mai, tangata tuiti mai, tangata moana mai, i tēnei tōngi ki. Ka ora tonu mātou. Ake, ake, ake. Ka ora tonu mātou. Ake, ake, ake. And hopefully there's a bill that you can actually support on the very day.
And the changing of the hearing to enact these suspensions has been shifted, if you didn't already know, but it's all part of the strategy of what I call makarona. That's a ngāpuni word, you might be able to figure out what that means. But he rautaki makarona tēnei. And he rautaki makarona i te mea e wehi ana rātou. They are mucking us around because they are scared of our power and they are scared of our capability and they are scared of our mana. And our kurangatira, even though the cold wars of this whare are suppressing and holding down the mana of the Haka, there's nothing that can hold down the mana of the people of the movement Kei Wahone. The only thing that can hold us down is rangi nui e tū nei pakatua nuku e takotone. O reira ka mihi rā ki tō tātou mana, i te hirangaranga, i te wehi, te tapu, te ihi, a o ngā mātou tupuna nei, te oho nei, a nei te piritia nei, a i waingai tēnei, minenga tēnā rā koutou katoa. I te tono, hoki a te ngākau kia koutou e aku rangatira. Once this muck around phase is over, I must say, it feels like it's been a lifetime since the last election. And it feels like there's a lifetime to go to the next election. And they know, those fellas in there know that you, all the Ngāko Māori MPs, are our only hope. Are our only hope in there to at least slow down the relentless attacks. I'm exhausted. We're exhausted. And I know you are too. I wouldn't wish this mahi upon my worst enemy. We see how hard it is. We see how difficult it is. E rangi ko te tono tēnei. Don't worry about us, we got it out here. Once those suspensions are over, you go in there and you give it to them. You give it to them. You hold the line. You hold the line and you give us hope. And you go in there and you do what we can't do. He rangi, e mahi ana I ngā mahi pakeke hei oranga mo te iwi Māori. Kuia tēnei, he mahi tahi tonu, he mahi waho, he mahi roto kāputa rā tātou ki te whai au ki te ao marama. Our only hope, piritia, kia au, kia mau. Nā te iwi e hui nei. Repeat after me, toi tū te tiriti. Toi tū te tiriti. Toi tū te haka. Toi tū te haka. Toi tū ngā māma. Toi tū ngā māma. Toi tū ngā kaiako. Toi tū ngā kaiako. Toi tū te tika. Toi tū te tika. Toi tū te pono. Toi tū te pono. Toi tū te whenua. Toi tū te whenua. Toi tū te rangi. Toi tū te rangi. Toi tū te iwi Māori. Toi tū te iwi Māori. Toi tū Aotearoa. Toi tū Aotearoa. Ka haka tonu tātou. Ake, ake, ake. Ka tū tonu tātou. Ake, ake, ake. Ka ora tonu tātou. Ake, ake, ake. Mai ara nā te rangi e tū nei, mai ara nā te whenua e takato nei. Mai ara nā ngā hinga wehi ngā tapu o te pō kia tau ki runga ki tēnei menenga, anei e tū nei. Kia u kia mau ko te kaho ngā mātua tūpuna, puta ki te whai au ka puta ki te ao marama. Hiki nā ko te tapua we nei kōrero, hiki nā ko te tapua we nei wāmanga. Ka paina ki runga ki te tā huhu nui o rangi nui e tū nei, ia wātea kia mahea, o te huinga tauira i runga i apapatua nuku e takoto nei. Puta ki tuaka, puta ki waho, puta ki te taha tika, puta ki te taha pono, puta ki te taha nui te ao marama. Ka uka mau ki te tūranga matua, ki te tūranga ora, ki te tūranga o tapu tapu Aotea. Whānau, whānau, ara mai te tōki haumi e uie!
Kōrero atu tōki a koutou nā mini tau ki raka tāka wahu mai tōku tupu na maranga i Pāroa. Me pēnei te kōro, me whakapaka, me whakamomori ki te pakanga. Munganga te kapaka!
Kami te pine o nau ri, tēnā tātou.
I'm going to have you